What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It's 5:30 p.m., October 21st. Price of Bitcoin currently at $12,850. We actually just tapped $13,000 just about 15, 20 minutes ago. Solid day in trading and so much to look forward to because we had news come out from Square a week or two ago about acquiring $50 million worth of Bitcoin. Last month or a month and a half ago, it was the MicroStrategy acquiring about $500 million of Bitcoin. And then, of course, today we had the big break of PayPal news breaking out that they're going to start utilizing Bitcoin transactions to buy and sell for products on their platform, or to use them as a merchant service with Bitcoin as a potential currency, quote unquote. So I think there's just a lot of good stuff that's happening for Bitcoin, and I'm going to break down the price action and analysis for y'all. I'll also show you things that I'm looking at for the long-term perspective of where prices of Bitcoin could go. Are we in a new massive bull market? Are we going to head up much further? If so, where are the areas to potentially take profit, where you could buy on the pullbacks? Maybe if you want to scalp short, even though I don't think it's wise to short, I will provide you guys a good, deep, insightful outlook on exactly how I'm seeing the market. Okay. First things first, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up because I know a lot of you have been watching our videos for free. And so the least you could do is hit the thumbs up while you watch our videos because that really helps grow our content. The people who are watching right now for free, you guys know very well that we have an advantage community right here with all the lock channels in our Discord. And this is where we have all the magic, all the tons of information and content that we provide for our paying members. And you can access this paid side of the community on our website, thealphatrades.com. Hit the products page right here. You can buy the Advantage membership right here for $97 per month. $97 per month, guys and gals. You get all these channels right here, the Alpha Trade Indicator, the Bitcoin trading section right here, all these channels where we provide information on positions that we're taking, whether it's short, long, where we're taking a position in terms of take profit areas, where we have our stop, entry, constant updates on exactly how we're trading the market. Same thing with altcoins. So we have two segments within the altcoin area, traditional altcoins and then DeFi, because DeFi has been such a big segment within the altcoin space. We figured we'd carve out separate channels for it. So I have separate trades, separate positions in that that I announce what I'm buying, what I'm selling, where my stop is, where my take profit is, just a ton of detailed information. Now, I can't tell you guys to buy or sell because I can't give you financial advice legally. But what I can show you is exactly how I analyze the markets and how I trade them. And all that information is in these channels. So let me give you guys a perfect example of how it works. Okay, so here's my position that I took October 15th, and I took the trade right around $11,500. Right, this is how I generally put out my analysis. I put up a chart so you could see the screenshot of exactly where I got in, and then more often than not, I will also provide a timestamp of when exactly I got in, the mark on the price, and talk about how much of my capital I put in, leverage, entry, stop, target profits I'm looking forward to, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so it's a very detailed breakdown of my trade thesis on exactly why I'm getting in, what I'm seeing in terms of the technicals and sometimes even fundamentals, what my risk is, what my leverage is, everything that you would need to know. Okay, and you could choose to follow or not, right? And so this morning we took some profit right here around 12,550 when prices broke up. And then after that, we took profit just about 20 minutes ago or so, as you can see, when Bitcoin hit just around $13,000. So far so good, right? We still have 1/3 of our position left, and I'm still thinking that we're going to hit closer to $14,000. I don't think that'll happen right away, but I do think it will happen. And it'll probably happen sooner rather than later. So we'll go over the technicals and all that. But for now, I just wanted to let y'all know that we do have our Advantage membership product right here, 97 per month. That includes, like I said, access to all these lock channels. Like I said, traditional altcoin analysis, right? Altcoin trading, as you can see, spot buy positions, leverage short, leverage long, DeFi trading, same thing, spot buy, leverage short, leverage long. And then of course we have the equity side. Well, Faisal is extremely busy and extremely attentive to our Advantage members, showing you guys exactly what we're seeing in the markets. He provides updates on a day-to-day basis, twice a day actually, and then videos for members Wednesday and Friday, and sometimes we do videos together on Sundays. On the Sunday videos, we actually invite one of our key guests. He currently runs his own hedge fund. It's called CFF Capital, and we bring him on every Sunday to talk about what he's seeing in the markets, and it's pretty great because our Advantage members get to ask him any questions that they want to, and I get to have a conversation with someone who is dealing with, market conditions that he's been looking at the markets for the last 25, 30 years. So anyway, I'm throwing a lot at you guys, but point is, join the Advantage membership. If you're not willing to pay $97 per month, check out this technical analysis course. Okay, if you're new to trading, if you're trying to figure out exactly how to break into this area of how to go about investing or trading in the crypto markets, I have created this course. It's less than 4 to 6 hours of work that you will get to understand how I look at the market, what indicators I use, how I set up my charts, what horizontal levels I like to utilize, how I put on fib levels and RSI and pivots and VPVRs, and all kinds of great stuff is in this. And it is $20. Okay. With this $20, if you message me, okay, right here, that's me. If you message me, I will give you guys 7 free days in our community. Okay, 7 free days in our Advantage community. So you get access to all these locked channels. For $20, you get this course, and you get 7 free days in our Advantage community where you get access to everything, and you can browse around, ask questions, hang out in our community, and you get to see exactly how our Advantage members interact. We're quite a busy community. We have members from all over the world: South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, India, Japan. We have members from Peru. We have members from the US and Canada, Argentina, Mexico, Poland, so members from all over the world, really. And so if y'all are willing to join, again, like I said, $20, the course plus 7 days. All right, give it a shot. Anyway, enough for the marketing pitch, right? I got to do it because, listen, this is a big community, and to pay myself, Faisal, our other member, Bradley, we have to be able to charge for our content. Don't ever let anybody fool you into thinking that why isn't this free? Because we put in a lot of time and effort. What is free in life? That's the question, right? Things like this are not free. Services like this are not free. And if they are free, then they don't owe you anything, right? They don't owe you twice a day analysis like we put out. They don't owe you how much time I spend in chat with my members every single day. They don't really owe you anything. But when you pay up for our membership, what you are paying for and what I owe you in return is content that delivers excellence, that delivers informative, actionable stuff that you can rely upon being in your Discord every single day. That's what you pay for. So let's get to the analysis. All right, on a 4-hour chart basis, okay, we are well extended, in my opinion. You could see the RSI shooting up all the way to about 87, 89 points. Let's turn off the pivots. Actually, even from the pivot standpoint, you can see right here, we are blowing past the R5 pivot. As I've stated before, more often than not, if we're getting above the R2, right, my general rule of thumb is if we're getting above the R2, I'm looking for the R5. On the flip side, it's the same thing. If we're getting below the S2, I'm looking for the S5. Okay, so we actually got a buy signal right around when we started breaking above this pivot right here. Actually, no, actually we got it back here, but then we got our second confirmation of a buy signal right here. So we bought in right there. Some people actually bought another one, added onto their position on the dip, and then we got the confirmation of a breakout right here on the 19th of October. All right, so we are long Bitcoin. And I think for the most part, I am long alts as well. Here are the ways I'm looking at altcoins, okay? The way I define alts to be moving in congruence together is looking at traditional alts, new alts, DeFi alts, NFT alts. I think this little basket of four covers all of those. Ethereum is, on the borderline of, providing a platform or a base to the DeFi system, but it's also a traditional altcoin. Okay, Litecoin is also a traditional altcoin, but it's not on the on the border of DeFi or anything. Theta is more so of an NFT based token, and Link is of course a DeFi related altcoin. So these four are the ones that I've been looking at for several days to give me an idea of exactly how the market is moving. Okay, so I'm long on a couple of these, and I believe that the market is, in my opinion, well positioned for altcoins to push higher. And these are generally the four that I'm paying attention to. There's many others that I'm paying attention to, but that's for Advantage members. But there's, these are the four that you can definitely, watch, and these will give you a signal if the altcoin markets are going to keep moving higher. Okay. The other way we can start defining how Bitcoin is showing us strength or weakness in the altcoin space is by its own respective price action and its own dominance. Okay. First things first, as per Bitcoin structure, all right, it has completely changed structure in that we were previously bearish because we were putting in this high, this low, this lower high, this lower low. Then what happened is we put in another lower high, but a higher low. Then we went all the way up here and we now changed structure, which is from this key lower high that you see, this guy right here. We changed that yesterday when we started piercing this candle high over here. So once you start getting above this high, guys, that is where you start changing structure from lower highs and lower lows to higher lows and higher highs. This candle is clearly the definition of a market structure shift, okay, from lower highs and lower lows to now we've now put in a higher high. Where this goes is, a couple different levels that I've been watching, right? $13,272 and $13,920. So let's just say 13.2 and then 14,000, right? Here's where those levels come from. This key high that we had around July, when we had this, sell off and then big bounce up, that's where the 13.2 comes from. And then 14,000, this general area comes from this key high that we put in June 2019. Okay. I personally think that we are going to at least smash one or both these levels. All right. I don't see any reason why we cannot put in a price for BTC at least to 14,000. Again, that's at least. However, where we stand right now, I don't think we're just going to go straight up parabolic. I think there's probably going to be a bit more chop, a bit more consolidation. I'm personally thinking that from here, we'll probably get up towards 13,000, maybe chop around, maybe pull back towards, this general area around 12,600, maybe as low as, $12,300, $12,200. And again, the way I'm looking at that is, again, something simple that I do is turning on pivots. Okay. If you have not used pivots before, please use them. It's the easiest way to start defining SR levels, meaning support and resistance levels. So I think we're probably going to push up higher towards 13.2, but that's generally the area where I'm thinking we might become a little bit more toppy. And if we become a little bit more toppy, I'm thinking that we're probably going to pull back, have a pretty sharp sell-off because there's a lot of leverage positions in the market. And those are probably going to get torched to the downside. Now, when we get to the downside, like I said, you could pay attention to these pivots, but a big level that we have, in my opinion, generally untested right now is this area right here, 11.8, 11.9. Okay. Personally, I think it would be very Bitcoin, um, personality like to have this kind of sharp movement up and then make everybody think that from here we're going to break up towards 14,000, but then in reality we just have a sharp sell off. Like literally in the span of an hour or two, we drop $1,000. Okay, you guys have seen this before. It's very common in Bitcoin. The reason it's common in Bitcoin is because there are too many leveraged positions in the market, and when the market is trying to flush those positions out, all you really have to do is you have to have some big sellers step up to the plate right at a key high and then just pull all the buys on the way down that big players are supporting, and then the price just cascades down really fast, really hard. Okay, it's very simple. It happens all the time in many markets, but it's much more common in Bitcoin because it's a very perpetual, rather futures driven market, right? People utilize leverage a lot, people utilize options a lot. And so that kind of gives the volatile nature to Bitcoin, where we can push up, say $1,000 in 2 or 3 days, but we can also drop, $1,000 in 2 hours because of all the leverage, all the excess leverage. So anyway, on the way down, those are the areas that you should be paying attention to. If we reach any bit further, then I'm a little bit concerned. Like for example, if we dig below $11,600, which is this low right here of this consolidation, I'm very concerned. But I don't think that that's going to happen, to be honest. Or I guess I shouldn't say it that way. I think the probabilities of that happening, where we start digging below, 11,600, are extremely low. Just to be a little bit more statistically accurate with that statement. Okay, so prices going up. I believe that Bitcoin, like I said, is probably going to reach towards 13.2, that general area, but I think it's going to chop around there, and I think we might have some violent pullbacks in the next coming days. But I don't think that's going to do a whole lot in terms of damage to altcoins, because here's what's happened, right? Again, these are the four alts I've been paying attention to. Let's kind of zoom out. Okay, so this is one of my favorite altcoins, Theta. You can see as Bitcoin started to push up right around 14th or 15th of October, Theta actually broke down from its larger consolidation pattern. Right, this was a nice triangle pattern. It broke down from that. This was rather a first signal. Now that I look back, that Bitcoin is gearing up for a bigger move. Now, of course, I can say this in hindsight, but I had no clue what the hell Theta was doing as Bitcoin was climbing over in this area. So remember, when Bitcoin was consolidating right here, Theta was selling off, ETH was generally selling off, Link was selling off. Most altcoins, were somewhere around these areas right here. You could see they were putting in, kind of like a high and then some lower highs, just breaking down consistently. I think now the shift is happening where the dominance is getting a bit too high. And if you look at this purple line right here, that's a 200 moving average on the Bitcoin dominance. Okay. So I like to use those two things in parallel, which is Bitcoin prices are getting a bit overextended. Bitcoin dominance is reaching this purple area and this purple moving average, which is a key resistance area. So if Bitcoin starts stalling around 13.2 and then it starts pulling back, I think that sets us up for a nice upside movement where altcoins start playing catch up. Okay. Now, again, I'm not too confident in that view, and I'm not saying that we have to do that, but it's something that I'm watching. And I think to play that risk to reward lag that you're seeing in altcoins not moving up with Bitcoin, I think is well worth it. Now, I'm already positioned in a bunch of altcoins, which I already let my Advantage members know about. And now it's really up to you if you want to believe in that view, or if you think that we're just going to keep slicing, straight up towards 13.5, 14,000, 15,000, then there's no need to be in altcoins because they're probably just going to get crapped on, right? Because here's the thing, when dominance starts pushing up and it starts really accelerating, altcoins really, really take a beating. Okay, that's just how it is. Bitcoin has done that in the 2018 days, 2019 days, and I would not be surprised if it does it in the 2020 days. Okay, so that's just something to pay attention to. All right. We also had the stock market, close relatively decently today, in my opinion. I don't think it was a terrible day in the markets because it was generally just flat, but the stimulus talks are still active. Okay. I don't think, I made a whole thread on this. Let me see here. So I made a thread, right? Well, no, this wasn't a thread. I don't know where it was. I made a big thread on my Twitter talking about how markets are generally addicted to stimulus now. It would be political suicide for either party in the United States to deny stimulus. And I think markets are already sniffing out that there is going to be a stimulus talk. Here's another reason why I know that more than likely stimulus is going to pass. Number one, I know it's going to be political suicide for either party to deny it. Number two, I think the markets themselves not selling off is indicative of stimulus more than likely coming. Number three, Bitcoin pushing up so aggressively in the face of stimulus talks still being discussed would be a huge no-no. Okay, first of all, markets rarely rally like this in the face of bad news or rather large uncertainty. So I think the markets themselves are already pricing in some way that stimulus talks are going to go well, stimulus is going to be passed. Stimulus talks are important because it's free money. Markets literally require free money nowadays just to be able to allow the markets from not falling apart. And it's honestly sad. And, I'm not going to get into the ethics and the morals of it all. But the fact of the matter is, the markets are sniffing out stimulus. More than likely, stimulus is going to be passed. And that's why we see Bitcoin rallying. Okay. And so, same thing, in my opinion, goes for altcoins. I don't think that altcoins are just going to start dumping from here much further, especially after Bitcoin has made such a violent move. I personally think, again, my opinion, right, that altcoins are ready to start breaking out. There's a couple of patterns at play. For example, we can look at this a couple different ways. Okay, Link, it is coming back inside its previous large trading range, which is this area right here, around 0.650. ETH itself is creating a massive pattern. Okay, you guys have seen these before. These are nice ascending triangles. It's trying to break out of this ascending triangle as we speak, right? You can see that right there. If we start breaking above 405, 410, I would say this pattern has all but broken out, and then I think we should start aiming for higher targets: 425, 440, and then probably $500. Link is doing something very similar. Okay, same thing, big, massive ascending triangle. Again, still looking for that breakout. So a break above 1175, that should at least put us, 1250, 1275, $13, which is around this red zone right here. Okay. So like I said, for the most part, I'm kind of looking at alts to start catching up, or rather playing catch up and starting to break out sooner rather than later. Okay. Let me see here. I got access to this closed beta, and I've been looking at a lot of metrics, right? For example, Key, who is the CEO of CryptoQuant, which is this exchange, not the exchange, it's like analytics data. He and I were talking about this several weeks ago when we did a call together. Miners position index. Okay. That's something that we pay attention to because remember, miners position, they're the biggest supply holders in the market. Knowing what the miners are going to do with when they move Bitcoin to exchanges, more often than not means to sell. When miners and bigger players move exchanges or move Bitcoin off exchanges, more than likely they're hoping that prices are going to appreciate. It's going to reduce supply pressure. And at some point later on, when the price appreciates, then they can bring Bitcoin back to exchanges and start selling and taking profit. At present moment, what the miners position index is showing, okay, if you start looking at the increases of the peaks right here, those generally indicate that more and more Bitcoin is being brought onto exchanges and selling, or rather a top could be potentially put in, and selling is about to resume based on miners position. At present moment, if you look at this tick right now, we're not really doing that, right? Of course, this is a little bit old, but for the most part, we haven't quite seen a significant increase in the miner data showing us that there's a whole lot of miners moving Bitcoin onto exchanges. So this tells us that, well, it tells us two things. Number one, it's quite possible that this rally is just getting started, or even if we start, say, chopping around sideways like we did back here after making a massive move, it gives a good amount of time for potential distribution to play out for miners to start selling, which again, we will likely see on the miners position index data. We will also see in terms of, volume maybe being depreciated, especially after a big move like this. There's going to be a lot of profit taking. And we of course see that on things like, trading light data, right? You guys have known me to look at the trading light data where I pull up, let me see here. I did this in the morning time, actually. Let me see. Showing a lot of data in the morning to my Advantage members. Yeah, so, this kind of data right here where we get to see the footprint data or the heat map data like this. I like to provide this kind of information for my Advantage members so we stay one step ahead of most other traders. Okay. The biggest mistakes that most traders make more often than not is not being able to control their emotions, their FOMO, their greed, right? The way you stay ahead of that is you start breaking down the emotions and psychology in the market into real quantifiable data. And the way you do that is you start looking up things like the miners position index, things like Bitcoin moving to exchanges, things like the heat map data that I showed you. This helps you stay objective. Okay. Then you don't start wondering how much higher could Bitcoin go and where is the retracement going to come back to? And, when should I sell and when should I buy? Oh my God, I missed this rally. Now I have to, maybe short it or buy a heavy leverage long. You don't have to do these things. Okay. Keep an eye on the technicals, keep an eye on the data, and it will steer you away from the typical mistakes that most traders make. All right. Now, I shared with my members that I've had my fair share of losses over the last 11 and a half years of trading, and I will probably have more and more losses in my coming, several years, several decades more of trading that I have. But the point is that the one thing that the markets have taught me is taking profit, managing your risk, moving your stops. These are the most crucial things that you need to pay attention to. Of course, risk management is the first and foremost thing that you need to pay attention to. But more importantly, it is your mental health, your emotions that you need to keep in check. Because once you can keep those in check, it then flows into how you look at the market from an objective perspective. See, the thing is, if you are constantly worried about all the losses that are stacking up, or you're constantly worried about the moves that you've missed, the money that you're not making, you're going to be bound to that mindset of being a loser, quote unquote. Okay. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. It's a very pervasive mindset that most traders never escape. And they never escape it because all they see is dollar signs in front of them. All they see is how quickly they can make money. What you really need to do in the markets is, more often than not, as soon as you step into the market, your first and foremost goal is to make sure you don't lose money, because the markets are actually designed to take money away from you. So your job is to make sure you keep that money. All right. Most people don't think of it that way. They think, as soon as I put money into the market, when can I start making money and how fast? They start thinking about in terms of Lambos and paying for vacations and paying for whatever, right? Don't think like that. This is a skill. It's an art. It takes decades to perfect. There's a reason why we have the 90-90-90 rule, which is 90% of traders lose 90% of their money in less than 90 days. It's a fact. Okay. And it's probably, much higher percentage. But if you don't want to fall into that trap, make sure you join our community. Make sure you at least learn from us. Learn the skills that we've kind of put together, the course that we have right here, the technical analysis course. Learn from that. Create a game plan for yourself so you know how to look at the markets objectively, not just from the lens of your emotion. Okay. So anyway, I think I've made my thesis clear, right? I've talked about BTC probably grinding up probably towards 13.2, that general area. If it keeps blasting up, alts are probably going to consolidate a little bit more. I don't foresee alts significantly breaking down. In fact, I believe that they're much closer to a breakout. But again, markets can always surprise us, right? This is why you can't be bound to one view. You cannot be married to one view. You have to stay flexible and know that the markets are going to surprise you more times than not. All right. And so in that flexibility comes the idea of risk management, comes the idea of moving your stops up, securing your capital, taking profit, hedging your position, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And being able to look at all the data points is very difficult. This is why we created this community, so we can share this information with you so you can look at it from a day-to-day basis. And that's why I make these videos twice a day for my Advantage members, twice a day. Okay. So come join, hit the thumbs up, leave us a comment of your thoughts, whatever you think is happening in the market, what altcoins you're paying attention to, what other metrics you're looking at, anything else. Okay. Let me see if I have anything else to share. So there's this tweet that Peter Brandt posted. He's absolutely right? Institutions and more bigger players are getting involved in the market. Like I alluded to earlier, PayPal, MicroStrategy, Square, and I'm sure, companies like Fidelity, many other companies and institutions are getting involved. They mark the value of their assets on a monthly basis, okay? Meaning that they want to see taking profit, looking at P&L, starting to maybe, if they're overweight in one position, maybe moving capital into another position, trimming down their positions. All this stuff generally happens on an end of quarter basis, end of month basis, okay? So this is why you need to pay attention to Bitcoin's monthly close as well. It's going to be particularly important. Why? A couple things, okay? A couple reasons. So let's look at it from this standpoint. First things first, okay? On a monthly basis, we are about to get one of the highest closes. Actually, you know what? Let's go over here to this chart. On a monthly basis, we are about to get one of the highest monthly closes, even past the June high that we had. Remember, June high, we had a close of around $10,800, right? I know there's still 10 more days left, but again, this is a pretty solid close, okay? And guess what else is right around the closing area of that $13,900, $14,000 target? It's this right here, where these two monthly candles close in that big parabolic movement in 2017. So you can see the importance of that $14,000 level. There's going to be significant, and I mean significant, resistance around that area. Don't be surprised if prices shoot up all the way to $17,000, $18,000, but then we close back right around 13 or 14K. Monthly closing candles are very important for the reasons that Peter Brandt stated and for the reasonings that I just explained to you, right? There's going to be a different way of how institutions, big hedge funds look at their assets. And especially when it comes to the volatile nature of Bitcoin, they're not going to look at Bitcoin in terms of, okay, how rich can we get? Remember, Bitcoin is still a relatively high risk asset. They're not just thinking from the standpoint of, all right, we're up 50 or 100%. Let's see how high we can take this pony. That's not how it works. Okay, there's going to be a lot of profit taking. So make sure you're not on the other end of that, where you're freaking out because prices keep dumping and you are then going to sell at a lower price. Okay. Retail, more often than not, will sell on the way down and they'll buy on the way up. Institutions and bigger players in the market will more often than not start trimming positions on the way up and start buying on the way down. Don't be like the average retail trader. Think like an institution. When you think like an institution, you will be consistently more profitable. All right. Let me see here. So we spoke about Link, spoke about ETH. So even here, Link, this is the weekly pivot. Again, you can see we're challenging that right now. We're starting to hammer it over and over again. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we start breaking through this area by tomorrow or the day after. Okay. And let me see here. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Again, hit the thumbs up, guys. Leave us a comment of your thoughts on the market, whether it's BTC or altcoins. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, go for it. Um, that's it. You'll take care. Join Advantage membership. And like I said, for $20, you can buy the technical analysis course, get involved in looking at our daily analysis, twice a day analysis, and then numerous updates that we put out. Like I showed you earlier, right? These are all the updates that we show our Advantage members on a day-to-day basis, pretty much like an hour or two basis. So if you're interested in that, get the course and then get 7 free days. All right. Cheers.